All right, I'm looking at the clock, you all, and it says 6:30 exactly. So we're gonna be punctual and starting on time. First of all, let me welcome you. Thank you so very much. Has this not been one of the most spectacular weekends you've ever experienced? I was with men on retreat at Camp Allen Friday evening and Saturday. I had to come back last night for church today, but it has just been so beautiful. Let's remember that when it's 103 in August. This is why we live in Houston now. But I am speaking of the weather because it might have been tempting to be out in that right now instead of here at the church. But we're so grateful for your responsiveness to an invitation for what we're calling a town hall, an opportunity for any and all members of the church to get together and learn more about a very, very important new ministry of our church, a master campus planning process. So I welcome you. Just by way of brief introduction, then I'll say a prayer and say a little bit more about how we got to tonight, and then certainly you want to hear Jim Powell, who will have the majority of our time tonight. But one of these days, it would be really good, if this church has not already done it, to do a Bible study on sort of a theology of sacred spaces. God is not confined to buildings, to stone, to churches, but it is the case that God's people from the very, very beginning have recognized that there are sacred places where we come close to the throne room of God. And of course, I'm thinking about the Ark of the Covenant inside the tent of meeting that traveled with the Israelites. And then finally, David brought it to Jerusalem. And of course, you know, the promise made to David that he wanted to build a temple, but it would be his son Solomon who built that temple and then dedicated it to the Lord. So what we do with our sacred spaces and the spaces that support our sacred walk with God are of great importance, not just for our benefit, but for what they communicate to the world around us. And I'll just ask that theologically you keep that in mind as we have our conversation tonight. I'm thinking about those Psalms from 120 to 134 that are all about the people of Israel making their pilgrimage up to the temple. And we're reminded in the very first verse of Psalm 127, unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. So all of our conversation tonight, ultimately, at rock bottom, is about what God intends and desires for us as we think about and imagine our campus for the coming years. So the genesis of this process began 2 years ago with a generous capital gift made to the church, offered over lunch with me from John Now, recognizing that we had some capital improvement projects, things that needed to be renovated, things that had been neglected for a number of years. We matched his gift of $1 million with some other donations from the church representing $2 million and formed a little committee chaired by Kenny Meyer over here. We had, first of all, Ted Gobelo and Susan Nyhouse serving as wardens in 2022, that committee, and then last year with Tom Knutson and Ross Adams serving as junior warden, identified about half a dozen what we would say are intermediate level renovation projects and repairs. One was a very significant and needed repair to our organ. We addressed some lighting issues inside the church. We renovated the vesting room. We have done some carpeting downstairs and upstairs, much needed, by the way. 30 years was a good run for that old carpet. And paint as well, and we're going to be renovating our staff kitchen also. Those were some of the major projects. But as we did our work and had more and more conversations, we realized that one question opened up a can for other questions, if you will, and that what we really needed to be doing was thinking a little bit bigger and longer term, especially as we have been in the process of developing a renewed vision for St. John the Divine, what we're calling SJD 2030. And so a new committee now has been formed, a master campus planning committee chaired by Chap Hutchison here. Kenny is vice chair. Other members of that committee will be introduced in just a little bit with a slide. And we have begun some work. The first big part of that was choosing an architectural firm. And I'm going to introduce Jim Powell of Merriman Holt Powell in just a moment. But the very simple but big question that we are about is, in what ways will our campus express and aid our vision here at SJD of being a light to the city as we look to the next 25, 30 years and beyond? Is with a beautiful renovation of the church done, I guess, about 18 years ago or so. New organ, one of the finest anywhere. But there hasn't been, to my knowledge, any comprehensive look at the whole campus in 30 years. And it's a long time. That's a long time for a church of our scale and complexity and our resources. And not to mention with the addition of the North Lawn about 12 years ago or so, we still have questions about what's possible incorporating that into our campus. So that's all a part of the conversation. That's where the energy is coming from. And we've just been really excited about engaging the whole church in this process that we hope will land in September with a master campus plan. And then we'll make decisions about what to do with that at that time. So I hope that explains a little bit about what we're up to tonight. Thank you again for coming. I'd love to offer up a prayer, and then I'll introduce Jim. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Holy God, thank you for gathering us, brothers and sisters in Christ, here at Church of St. John the Divine tonight to be a part of this important discernment on how our strategically located and beautiful campus could even more be a place of gathering for new members in Jesus Christ, for helping us deepen and grow a culture of discipleship, the end of which is that we have a church where every single one of us understands that we're called to go forth as ambassadors for you. So there's some exciting opportunities and big questions and also some big challenges that we are already identifying in this conversation, but we know there's great wisdom and energy in this room, so we just pray for your blessing over us tonight. And thank you for Jim and his team who are here with us. All this we lift up in the powerful name of Christ. Amen. So Jim Powell, first time I met him, he impressed me, and not surprising because I came to find out that he's a fellow Virginian. Of course he would. Jim is a partner in the architectural firm here in Houston, Merriman Holt Powell. He's a graduate of the University of Virginia, and go Heels. He has a Master of Architecture from Rice University here in Houston, and Jim has been working in architecture for 24 years. He has 24 years of experience designing schools and churches and office buildings and recreational facilities. And Jim will introduce members of his team who are also here and with whom it's been a joy already to be engaged in this work. But Jim will have the lead role working with our committee and members of our church over the coming months. Jim's projects have won design awards from the Interfaith Forum of Art and Architecture and the Associated Masonry Contractors of Houston, Texas. Jim has served on the Board of Trustees and the Administrative Board at St. Paul's United Methodist Church, where he is a member. And again, it's been just a delight to get to know you and to work with you. We're so grateful. Jim, thank you in advance for what you're going to share tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Father Lee. Pardon me. Well, good evening. It's nice to be with all of you. Thank you for having us tonight. I am very excited to be here tonight to talk with all of you about creating a master plan for your wonderful church. This is a perfect time, I think, to do this, to have this town hall, to bring you along with the work that has been done so far. We're still early in this process. We're about 5 weeks in. We've learned a lot. We've done a lot. But we have a long way to go. And I want to let you know that we have not designed anything as of yet. We are in the information gathering phase of this project. This is a very important and exciting time in the life of your parish. And it is a wonderful opportunity, I think, for all of you to create a master plan to guide the change and growth of your facilities over time to carry you into the future to 2030 and beyond. So we're very excited for you, very excited about what the eventual master plan will do for your parish. This is an outline of our presentation tonight. We have about 80 slides to share with you. We're going to talk briefly about our firm. We're going to talk about our design process, how we work with our clients, how we have worked with you so far, and how we will continue to work with you. We want to, as I mentioned before, show you the work that has been done so far. Then we want to talk about next steps, the steps that will lead to the completed master plan. And then we have a couple of questions that we'd like to ask you. We'd like to hear your answers to those questions. Everybody should have a couple of cards at your table with those two questions. So we'd like for each table to discuss those two questions and answer them and pass your cards forward at the end of the presentation. You all don't need to do it just yet. Our firm was founded in 1993. We will celebrate our 31st year, July 1. And working with churches like yours is the focus of our practice and is our most important work. God willing, we will be doing the work that we love to do for another 31 years. We have a very client-centered firm. We utilize an approach, a philosophy that we call creative listening. And what that essentially means is that we want the creativity of our designs to be firmly rooted in the mission and vision and needs of our clients. This is our team. There are 5 members of our core team working through this process with all of you. There will be other members of our team that you'll see later on in the future. I would like for Michelle and Jose and Charles to stand for a moment so everyone can see you and recognize who you are. Thank you. We have just a wonderful group of people. So we have a lot of experience doing just this, creating master plans with our clients. It is really the best way, I think, for a client to create a holistic vision to carry its facilities forward for the long term. We have worked on varying size projects of every nature I think you can think of for all of the major denominations. We have done hundreds of church projects at this point in time. I want to tell you that we don't have a style. We don't have an architectural style that we call our own. We are equally comfortable working in classical architecture, state-of-the-art modern architecture, and everything in between. That's very intentional, our approach. We want the architecture that we create with our clients, for our clients, to represent them, the image that they want to project to the community and to the city. We've done a lot of work with historic congregations, such as yours. All church work is very important. But when you're working with a historic congregation such as yours, you've got to step your game up. And you have to provide an extra level of care. And we bring that commitment to your project. Also want you to know that while churches are the focus of our practice, another major focus of our firm is faith-based work. About 60% of our work is with churches, about 35% of our work is with schools, the vast majority of which is faith-based, and then we do some other not-for-profit work for libraries and service centers. Let's talk next about our design process. We're very collaborative internally and with our clients. I think the Master Plan Committee has witnessed that so far from our firm. And we're going to use a case study to illustrate our process. And we're going to use a project we finished recently for St. Thomas Episcopal Church and School in Meyerland as our case study. There are many parallels with St. Thomas's project and your project as we understand your project so far. It is the same denomination. Like you, they have 5 acres. Like you, they have both a church and a weekday school. And like you, they wanted growth. St. Thomas, like much of Meyerland, if not all of Meyerland, and much of Houston, was just absolutely devastated in 2017 by Hurricane Harvey. 11 of their 13 buildings flooded significantly and were substantially damaged. Some were condemned after the storm. They were planning to do a master plan and a major project anyway, but the storm and its damage gave them a great sense of urgency. So we worked quickly to get them a project. We work with leadership to create goals to guide us through the process. We've done that with you all so far. We work with leadership to identify all of the ministries and other stakeholders that the church wanted to speak into the process to describe the space needs for the master plan. We had a great number of interviews with both the church and the school. And we had several town halls to bring the congregation and school community along with the work that had been done up until that point in time. And they were really great. We spent a lot of time, as we always do, analyzing their site and their existing buildings. We always want to understand our clients' facilities from a use, code, and condition perspective. We don't want to miss something important about an existing campus because that could reveal a flaw in the eventual design, and we don't want that to happen. Once we started arriving at a design that everyone liked, we introduced it to our friends at the City of Houston. We always like, whenever possible, to introduce a master plan to the governing jurisdiction early in the process so we can understand their perspective on the project. If they have heartburn about something we're showing in the master plan, we want to understand it and try and get over that hurdle as early as we can in the process. In the interviews and in speaking with the Master Plan Committee, we learned about other churches and schools that we wanted to go see as part of a benchmark tour to get good ideas. We love benchmarking. It is a wonderful way to inform a master plan for a client, I think, not to copy someone else's facilities, because I don't think that works. Everybody's facilities are unique to them, but we always get good ideas. We always learn things that we would not learn otherwise. And I'm excited to tell you we're going to have a tour with the Master Plan Committee here on March 6th and 7th. It's going to be a busy couple of days, but it's going to be a lot of fun, I have no doubt. So we took everything that we heard, everything that we learned, and we created a space program based on the needs that have been described to us. A space program is a listing of all the rooms that we need to provide in a master plan. And as you can see here, it called for tremendous growth, more than doubling their square footage from 104,000 square feet to 221,000 square feet, all on 5 acres of land. So we knew before we put pen to paper, before we had designed a thing, that the campus was going to have to change substantially from largely a 1-story campus to a multi-story campus, likely 3 stories. And that is, in fact, where we wound up. We color-coded the space program, the principal spaces. We cut them out to scale, and we laid them down on a giant site plan of the St. Thomas campus, and we had a gaming session with the committee. Gaming is something we love doing with our clients. It engages our clients fully in the design process. Some of our clients are comfortable drawing an idea for us, but most of our clients are not trained in design and they don't feel comfortable presenting a sketch, a design to us architects. But anybody can engage in gaming. It's a great way of getting our clients involved in creating building and space adjacencies on the campus, and they loved it. In fact, we had 2 3-hour gaming sessions with the committee, and we came up with the bones of the master plan through that process. We looked at options and settled on this final master plan that you see here. The building at the top, the blue, the red, and the yellow, is one 3-story structure that will be completed over multiple phases of work. St. Thomas did not own any parking, and they were very nervous about that. The parking lot that you see to the left is owned by the landlord, is owned by Fidelis, a property owner in the area. So they're very eager to find a way, despite having only 5 acres, to add some parking onto their campus. So we devised a way to put 1 floor of parking under this big 3-story structure. Through all of our discussions with the committee, the top priorities bubbled to the top, and they became the phase 1 project in the master plan. It is the first piece of that large 3-story building that I described. Once the plan settled down, everybody liked how the campus was flowing and functioning. We brought it into 3 dimensions. We developed the architectural character of the campus. St. Thomas looks like a little Rice University, and they love the character of their campus. And they said, please embrace this style. And we said, yes, we love Rice University too. We love your campus. Let's work within your beautiful style of architecture. So we did that. But on the inside, they wanted things to be a little different. On the inside, they wanted things to be fresher and more modern, and that is what we did, as you will see. We were very concerned about scale, as always, when it came to this large 3-story building. So we paid very careful attention with floor-to-floor heights, with the materiality of the design, with the detailing of the design, so that it did not overwhelm the smaller, more intimate scale of the remaining buildings. Once we completed the 3D work, the 3D design, we eventually worked with an artist to create beautiful artwork to support their fundraising efforts for their project. So they had 6 high-quality renderings produced along with an animation. So I want to show you before and after. This is what the campus looked like before the storm. There are 4 1-story buildings you can see on the left that were developed in the 1960s. They were past their useful life already, but after the storm, they were effectively condemned. Those buildings, as they said, were ripe for demolition, so we took them down and replaced them with the actual building that you see here. There's a terrace on the top that looks down into this beautiful courtyard. That's for high schoolers. They're on the top level of this building. I'm proud to tell you we did not take 1 inch away from that courtyard, which is precious to them. And here we are on the ground, looking at the main entrance. Something they really suffered from was a very poor front door. Nobody could find their way into the campus, and it was a very porous campus at that. So they wanted a very obvious, beautiful front door. And that's what you see here with those 3 arches. On the inside, as I mentioned before, they wanted something much fresher and more modern. There are high ceilings. It's light and bright and airy and a lot of fun to walk through. This is another view further down Jackwood Street. And here you can see the entrance to the garage. There are 60 cars underneath this building. In the future, when future phases of work are developed, the garage will be expanded under those future phases until they get to their goal of 170 cars. The garage is essentially hidden from the campus, which is really great. This is what it looks like inside. It's a very easy garage to drive around and find a space in. The church was substantially damaged by flooding in the hurricane as well. We restored the facade of the church, and we built this new plaza to provide outdoor fellowship space. It faces this beautiful courtyard, this other courtyard that they have. They love this plaza. This is what the space looked like after the storm, but it was not a warm space before the storm. I don't know if any of you were there before the project was done, but in the committee's words, it was a very cold and uninviting space. They said, please warm this space up to reflect our community and make it more inviting. And this is what it looks like today. The space has been completely transformed. Every surface was touched in the project. Now let's talk about your master plan and the work that we've done so far. As always, we started by creating a goals statement. I know one of the rules of presentations is that you don't read from the screen, but I'm going to break that rule and do just that because goals are very important. So let's read them together. Goal number 1, there are 11. Deliver a campus master plan that supports the Church of St. John the Divine's mission of changing lives for God in Christ as parishioners gather in Christ, grow as disciples, and go on mission. We typically like the mission statement of a church to be the first goal to suggest that all the subsequent goals are in support of the church's mission, and that's what we've done in your goal statement. Number 2, create inviting architecture that harmonizes with the existing campus and that reflects SJD's values as it aims to be a light to the city. I love that statement. It's just beautiful. And is committed to bringing God's love beyond its campus. Provide facilities that serve a multi-generational congregation, attract new young families, very important, and that allow for SJD to grow, and I'll say by at least 100 parishioners per year for the next 10 years. So you have asked for growth. So clearly, we need to provide the facilities that will allow that growth to happen. Number 4, carefully steward SJD's property by making spaces multi-purpose when possible and by increasing the utilization of the north lawn. Number 5, design a campus with spaces that build community, gracious hallways that allow intuitive flow, and prominently located assembly spaces that are easily accessed from primary circulation. Transform the Westheimer face of the campus to make it more visible and inviting, projecting the image of SJD as a vibrant and outward-looking church. Goal number 7, provide additional parking on the campus, enough to accommodate a typical Sunday attendance. I would say we have talked as much about parking as anything so far. Number 8, create a clear and gracious weekday main entrance and welcome center and improve campus security by limiting the number of other entrances. Like all campuses of a certain age and older, they all have lots of doors in and out. And today, people don't like that. It presents a security risk. So that's something we're going to be looking closely at in your master plan, the number of ways in and out. 9, consolidate each ministry area on the campus to improve travel time and foster greater fellowship within them. We've had 20 interviews so far, and everybody talked about being spread out. People would like to be more together. 10, plan staff spaces that facilitate collaboration, group teams together, and that do not interfere with ministry programming. And the last goal, quote, future-proof, unquote, the campus as much as possible through flexible spaces, accessible technology, proven ME, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and technology systems, and through durable, maintenance-friendly materials. So those are our goals. These are the 20 interviews that we have had so far. They've been fantastic. We've learned a tremendous amount. We're right now crafting the space program for the master plan. we're going to get back with all of the people that we've already interviewed to make sure we have the space needs right before we can call the space program done. I'm going to show you some highlights from our site and building analysis. We've learned some interesting things about your plant. What a rich, wonderful history you all have had over your 85 years. Starting with the chapel that was completed in 1940. Back then you had only 1 acre of land. You now have 5 acres. And that is a photograph taken in December of parishioners in front of the church that was built in 1953. So these are both historic structures. That's how we see them. You use 3 spaces for your worship venues. The big church on the left, this space for the table and awesome worship, and you have a traditional service in the chapel. They're all widely used. We always want to understand where members are coming from. From how far away are they driving or walking, driving since we're in Houston, to get to church. And there are more people in area code 77019, this area code, than in any other area code. Having said that, people are coming from all over the place. By definition, you all are a regional church. I don't think you could ask for a better address. I mean, what a fabulous location you all have at the intersection of Westheimer and River Oaks Boulevard. It's a very exciting part of the city, a part of the city that I love, part of the city that I spend a lot of time in, my family spends time in. You can see Westheimer there, right in the middle of your screen, going left to right. On the bottom of the screen is largely commercial development. On the top of the screen, above Westheimer, is almost completely residential, the River Oaks neighborhood. So you have the south side of the campus, this side over here, facing an urban side, right? The Westheimer development, a commercial environment. And then you have this side here that faces River Oaks Boulevard. It's a more residential scale, a more suburban side. So we're kind of thinking about the campus having 2 different sides with 2 different flavors. This is fun. So we were here for an all-day work session last week. We found some old drawings, including this 1942 plat of River Oaks. This is a photograph of just a piece of it where the chapel was constructed. Hopefully you can see it there. It's the cross-shaped building in that diagram. Back then you had only about an acre, maybe a little bit less. And you didn't own the land to the south where we're standing today. And back then, that's where the River Oaks office was, and that's where there was a drugstore and a grocery store. Boy, has the neighborhood changed. And that's a pretty photograph on the right of the chapel on a rare snowy day in Houston. Chronology. This diagram shows how the facilities have grown over time, starting with 1940. With the chapel. And the church was built in 1953, Sumner's Hall in 1980. And this building was constructed in 1995. When it was constructed, the 1947 parish hall and gym structure was removed to make way for this larger structure. So as Father Lee mentioned earlier, it's been about 30 years since you've done an addition to your campus. This is a recent plat that was created last year in 2023, and it shows that your main campus, which has 4 acres, is unrestricted in use. There are no deed restrictions. There are no restrictions on any kind. If you wanted to, not that you ever would, you could build a skyscraper here, but you would, of course, never want to do that. However, the north lawn at the top of the screen is restricted to residential use. It is under River Oaks property owner's jurisdiction. Let's talk about image. When you're driving westbound on Westheimer, this is what you see when you get to River Oaks Boulevard. And I think appropriately, you see the church on the corner. I think the architecture announces very well, very appropriately, what the institution is. This is a place of worship. This is a church. But when you get a little further west and look north, things get a little murkier. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on back in there. All of us love trees. I love trees, especially live oaks. What would Houston be without its live oaks? But they do block your view a little bit of the campus. Something that we often recommend is pruning trees, pruning canopies, so they don't block your view of a campus too much. You see cars, you see activity, that's great. It looks like a place I'm supposed to drive to, but the architecture really doesn't tell you much about what's going on. It's way back from Westheimer. This is what the North Lawn looks like. It's a beautiful space, a beautiful oasis. We know you're using it for a variety of things, but they're all outdoor in nature. So we're very eager to learn what our options could be, what the opportunities might be for developing this parcel. So we're going to be having conversations with River Oaks property owners to know what we can and can't do with the parcel. And another oasis is the Julia Garden at the center of the Circle Drive. It's a beautiful area, has a beautiful fountain, and it creates a beautiful foreground to the campus on the River Oaks Boulevard side. Entrances, very important. So to Sumner's Hall and the Hall Life Center, there are two ways in. They're both set back, as I touched on a little while ago, just a second ago, set way back from the road. It's kind of hard to see them when you first drive onto campus, either from River Oaks Boulevard or from Westheimer. So in blue, you can see those entrance areas, those lobbies that you first walk into. And it presents a bit of a security concern, the fact that these two lobbies are separated by Sumner's Hall. It also presents a little bit of an inconvenience factor because if you come in the entrance on the lower left and you want to get to the right, you have to go through Sumner's Hall, which is not a problem if there's not anything going on in Sumner's Hall. If there is an activity going on and you don't feel comfortable walking through the space, you need to walk back outside and come around to the Welcome Center. I already talked about security. That's something we're going to be talking about a lot with you. We want to make sure people feel safe and comfortable here on campus. One of those reasons we want to make sure that happens is that you have a school. You have a preschool, First Steps Montessori on your campus. You have access control in those two doors where the red ellipse is, which is great at protecting the most vulnerable, those young students that are on your campus. But we wish there was greater separation between First Steps and the rest of the campus, because once people get past that security checkpoint, you can flow right into the school area. That's something we're going to be looking at in the master plan. Square footage. You have just a hair under 120,000 square feet of air-conditioned space. Just a little less than half of that is on this level, on the first floor of the campus. Everybody wants to be on the ground floor. You have 31% of your space in the basement, and you have 26,000 square feet, 22% of your space on the second floor. So almost a third of your campus is down in the basement. And in all of the interviews that we have had so far, I think it's fair to say people would prefer not to be in the basement. They would like to be up on the first floor or the second floor to have windows and light and a view. We always want to understand how public utilities are coming onto a campus. So we've studied many drawings that you have to come up with this diagram. We wanted to understand topography and how stormwater drains off campus. So we created this diagram. Parking. Let's talk about parking. So you have 113 spaces on your campus today. I don't know of another church your scale that has so few spaces. But you're making it work. You're making a great go of it. But with your desire to grow for the future, I think it's almost a necessity that you find a way, that we find a way together to add more spaces to the campus. I want you to know that if you were to do any project that required a permit from the city of Houston, they would say, please prove to us that you have a minimum of the code required 152 spaces. The formula for that is 1 car per 5 seats in the main worship space in the church. So you have a capacity of just over 750 in the church. You do the math, you wind up with 152. So you don't have enough. So when the permit documents, would-be permit documents are submitted to the city for permitting, it would need to include a notarized shared parking agreement that proves you have at least 152. The practical need for parking greatly outweighs always the code-required parking. The rule of thumb we use is 2.2 people per car. You all are growing, which is awesome. So far in 2024, you have an ASA, an average Sunday attendance, of 893, not including folks online. Your big parking crunch, it comes in the morning from 9 to 12. And at that point in time, you have to have enough parking to accommodate 658 people on average. 658 divided by 2.2 gives us 299 parking spaces needed. You have 113 on site. That means most of you are parking off-site. And that doesn't include any growth. That's based on your current conditions. So where do all of you park? This is where you're parking. You're parking all over the place. And on a beautiful day like today, it's actually can be quite pleasant, I think, to park and walk a few minutes. The rule of thumb our firm has always used is that people at most churches are willing to walk up to 4 minutes from their car to the front door of the church. But what happens when it's a rainy day, or it's 106, or it's really cold? We've had a few of those days. So we worry. What do people do when the weather is not great? Will people park far away? But we've actually heard that you all are finding a way to make it work fine on Sundays. It's more of a problem, parking is, during the week. And a big reason for that is that some of the areas where you park on Sunday are not available during the week. So parking's an issue. Let's talk about flow, how people move around campus. We always like to analyze hallways. So if you look at this diagram, you can see 3 areas, 3 contiguous areas. We wish these were all connected, right? Because when they're broken up like this, it suggests that flow is harder to achieve graciously. This is what many of your hallways look like. They're representative of their day. Back in the day, we tended to design narrow hallways. People don't like that anymore. Today, we design much wider hallways and ceilings as high as we can make them. We also like to utilize a lot of interior glass to create good sight lines from hallways, circulation paths into classrooms. That creates a great feeling of community, we think. We also want to understand how people move up and down in a building. And interestingly, your main stair at the bottom is split. When you walk in the front door in the Welcome Center, there's a stair in front of you that takes you to the basement level, but you can't get up to the second floor from there. You have to go past the access point to get to the stair that takes you from level 1 up to level 2. We wish there was a main stair that connected all of the floors together. We've also heard from many of you about the elevator. We've heard it's too small and too slow, and too many of you have gotten stuck in it. And I've been stuck in an elevator, and I know that it's not fun. So we're going to give you a bigger, faster elevator, or maybe 2, who knows? And the main stair is not nearly wide enough. It is only 1 inch more than the code minimum of 3 feet 8 inches. It is hard for 2 people one going each direction to pass each other on your main stairs. That is inadequate with so many people on your campus. If we were to design this stair today, we would make it more than twice as wide as what it is. The basement. So as I mentioned earlier, most of you do not love the basement. It suffers from the same things that all basements suffer from. And at the top of the list, it's no surprise, is daylight, a lack of daylight. You do have a few interesting skylights to bring some sense of connection to the outdoors, but most rooms don't have any windows of any sort, and we wish that were not the case. We've talked a lot about this space so far, and we're wondering whether the gym continues to double as a modern worship space, or does modern worship want to have its own space, something different than the gym? So I feel confident at this juncture we're going to be considering options for each. Okay, to summarize what we've done so far, we can look at this slide, and here we are today at the first town hall. And we want you to know that this is not the last town hall. We see 2 additional town halls. We have more work to do. A benchmark tour, as I mentioned before. We're going to continue developing a space program. We're going to start looking at master plan options. And then we want to bring you along sometime in May with the work that we've done up until that point in time. And then we'll move forward, develop the final master plan, develop a project phasing plan for the master plan, and we'll identify the phase 1 plan in the master plan. And then we'll wrap things up by presenting all the work that has been done in a town hall, which we believe will be in September. We have an awesome committee guiding this process. We thank them for their time and their dedication. We know it is a lot of time. We're meeting pretty much every 2 weeks for almost 8 months. So it's a big time commitment, and we appreciate it. You can go to the address listed here, not now, but after tonight, to see some frequently asked questions and their answers on your website. There's also a link to a question form. There are 7 or 8 questions listed there, and you can type in your answer to those questions if you would like to. We would encourage you to do that because we want to know what you think. Okay, now we would like for all of you to discuss amongst yourselves these 2 questions. Those 2 questions should be printed on the cards you have in front of you. And please write down your responses. We'd like to do this for about 5 or 6 minutes. And then please pass your cards forward, and then I will read some of the answers to all of you.
1, 2. Okay, everybody, we're going to reconvene. Jim is going to answer all your hard questions and challenging ideas, right? Can somebody bring forward the cards that we've collected so far? Jim, do you want to hop up here? Thank you all again for coming out tonight. It's really, really gracious of y'all to do so. Thank you. All right, so Jim, how do we want to do this? We want to share at least some of what we've collected here. All of what has been collected will be carefully considered and shared with our committee.
You all have done your homework. Thank you very much. There are a number of cards here. This is fantastic.
Not surprised.
This is great. So I don't know that we'll have time to read all of them, but we can start.
Okay.
So would you
come on up here?
Okay.
And you do some and I'll do some.
Okay. Why don't you go first?
Okay. What do you like most about this campus? Number 1, love the Julia Garden. Church activities on the lawn attract interest from neighbors. Number 3, the inside of the main church and the chapel are beautiful. So the main church and the chapel. What 3 aspects of the campus would you like to change? Number 1, parking. Number 2, the Westheimer church side looks like the back part of St. John's School. Number 3, to be able to have the awesome worship and table in a lovely sacred space. And just adding number 4, restroom facilities need to be enlarged and updated. And there's a number 5. This is indeed the SJD that I know and love. Need more meeting spaces. And number 6, kitchen needs redoing. So, all good. Thank you. That was a great card.
Great. Okay. I'll read the next one. What do you like most about this campus? Number 1, style of architecture in main church. Beauty of older chapel feels historic, and it's more intimate. I agree with that. 2, green space is sacred also. That's great. 3, it sits on a corner. Optimize the setting even more. I love that. What 3 aspects of the campus would you like to change? Number 1, we probably can't count on Lamar High School for parking forever. We've talked about that as a group. Is there a way to put parking on the Westheimer side by the gym that coexists well with the church's architecture? Interesting. Parking has to be addressed if it desires to grow. Number 2, rooftop garden space for meeting. All right. And worship could occur above. Think old post office downtown. That's an awesome space. The parking garage. Number 3, address drainage issues where needed.
Okay. What do you like most about the campus? Traditional worship space. I think that's the 3rd of 3 cards so far. Green spaces, both garden and lawn. Sidesmith Chapel, and style of architecture. Number 2, what 3 aspects would you like to change? Parking with 2 exclamation marks. Larger elevator, different sizes of meeting spaces. Security, a number of entrances. More bathrooms, more accessible bathrooms. Separate space for modern worship.
What do you like most about this campus? The sanctuary, the Julia Garden, the Now Room, the location, the chapel. What 3 aspects of the campus would you like to change? Separate modern worship. A larger room like the parlor. Great. Storage for scouts and parking.
Okay. Marty. What do you like most about the campus? Location, diversity of space, large church, sanctuary, the chapel, and the Now Room. What would you like most to change? The gym and the modern worship, prefer to be separate. Medium spaces between Sumner's and the parlor. I guess that maybe is the space between here, the kitchen, I guess. Scouts need storage on campus, Marty, again. Just kidding. Parking, and the parlor is too small.
What do you like most? The church and chapel worship spaces. What would you like to change? Parking. Improve the Westheimer side. More classrooms. Better security.
Okay. What do you like most? The location, the Julia Garden, the sanctuary, the Now Room, and the chapel. I think some patterns have emerged. What would you like to change? The gym/modern worship space. The parlor's too small. Divide Sumner's Hall. Scouts need storage. And parking.
Parking.
I didn't even fill out any. But I am a lot.
What do you like most? the chapel, church space, comfortable small group spaces, the family room and the chapel. That is a very nice space. What would you like to change? Kitchen improvements, coffee shop, stairs, a common staircase to all floors.
We knew we weren't going to be able to read them all, but why don't we do two more? It's
Okay.
7:34, and we'll close it out. But all of these are very, very valuable. Thank you for filling these out. What do you like most about the campus? The location, the people, amen to that, the liturgy, staff, school, first steps. Beautiful bells, stained glass, the chapel, our outreach, and the bookstore. What three aspects would you like to change regarding a light for the city? It's too ugly and dated. I would like to see a prominent cross above our campus, space for a better space for worship and concerts, and parking.
Parking. So the last one, what do you like most? The architectural style and scale on the neighborhood side. The Julia Garden and the lovely lawn. The church and chapel are beautiful. What would you like to change? Awesome worship in a gym. Would love a more sacred feeling space. Move Sunday school and choir out of the basement. Westheimer side more welcoming, more like River Oaks Boulevard side. Restrooms, more meeting spaces.
Okay. Well, it really helps to hear a lot of consistency as well as some original ideas in your lists. Please note the QR code on the screen there. If you know how to use that with your phone, that'll take you to a website or you have other opportunities to engage with us. There's also a card that's been passed around on your tables. So if you don't want to do this now, you can certainly take it home with you. But just know, as Jim said, this is not the first and only town hall that we intend. We expect our next one to be late spring, early summer. And again, we hope to get everybody together with some excitement toward the very end of our process in September. Jim, is there any final word that you have for us before we break tonight?
No, I'm excited. Thank you for having us. You all have been so energizing and so gracious in accepting us into your community. One thing was clear to us from the very beginning. You all absolutely love your church. I know everybody says that, but you all truly do, and it's come across in every meeting that we've had. So thank you for having us.
I'm so glad you shared that. That is a good word for all of us. I've never been in any church where the members of the church love the church more than you all do. What a great privilege to just be here with you. And I'm so excited about whatever it is that the Lord emerges for us in this process, but we couldn't be in better hands with Jim Powell. So thank you, Jim. And we will keep the conversation going. In the meantime, go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God.